Hi, Chrysanthi. I'm very happy to have you here in this interview, and I wonder if you could share a little bit about you and your organization, Code.
Thank you, Liliana, for having me here and inviting me and Code in this interview. Me and, of course, behalf of Code, we're very happy to participate in this. And it's also the International Day of Women today, so it's
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Congratulations for you and for me and for all the women actually working in artificial intelligence, technology, and all women actually in the world. Yeah. And
indeed.
also the men identified as women or that have such a big heart that they that they recognize themselves with their feminine energy too. Yeah.
Exactly, very important. So me, oh, big story. I will start from. You remember? Well, I born in 1991. So I'm quite young, let's say, but back then, when the first computers come into our homes, it was a very big of a deal that we were having computers. So I remember my brother, who he really loved me, and I do. He said to me, "Don't touch the computer; you will break it." And I was like, "Okay." I was like 5 or 6 years old. Okay, okay, I will not break it. But in my mind, instantly it went like, you know what? One day you will beg me to touch your computer, but I will say no. So that was the first moment that I realized that okay, maybe I want to to have a profession around computers. And back then I didn't knew what was technology or science. Huh? So we are coming in my high school in my last year when I have to decide in which university, which kind of studies I need to follow. And I remember I had a teacher. I had in my mind that I want to go to informatics because of that little story in the back. And I also wanted to teach people. I want to show to the other world, to the outside world, what education can do, how strong you become if you educate yourself. And I'm not talking for universities. Huh? Education is not universities. So I knew I wanted these two paths. So I was like, okay, I can merge them and be a teacher of informatics. So back then I had a teacher myself, and he said to me, "No, you're not a fit for that. Better to choose, something like go to be a nurse or do something, more feminine profession." And I was like, I remember again, and I say, you know what? I will prove you wrong, and I did. I went to the university that I chose, and in 2 or 3 years I was in the university. It was time for my thesis. And again, I went to a teacher and I said, listen, I have an idea. I'm talking now for 2011, 2012, where artificial intelligence wasn't such a big of a deal back then. It was just started, to come into our lives. And I remember I went to this teacher and I said, I have a great idea. I want to create a robotic arm which can do operations, and the doctor can control it remote. So we will eliminate it, the bacteria and blah blah blah, all these things. And he called me crazy. Literally, he called me crazy. And
And
I
why?
because this is too expensive and this is not for you and this is come on, who will need that? And again, I remember I say, I will prove you wrong. I didn't make a robotic arm eventually, but I managed to become and dive into, let's say, into artificial intelligence and do what I wanted to do to teach people around artificial intelligence. So we're coming in the past to say that I'm very proud to be an AI coach in Code, and I'm very proud and emotional sometimes to see that how we can change the lives of people in Code. Because in Code, to talk about a little bit of
Yes,
my
yes, yes.
company,
Go
yeah,
on, go on. Yes.
we are. Our target groups, let's say, are people that they don't have the ability to study for many reasons. We all know. We can all imagine the reasons. And people that they want to change careers, people that they want just to try and see what is this, and also people that they, let's say, afraid of AI. This is our target. And we are just taking them from the hunt and we drive them into a 7 months training in where we start from the very, very basic of programming language, which in this case we are doing Python, and we drive them all the way up to the data science and machine learning and AI, which is
Wow.
where we are coming. And I
In
can
eight
say
months, Chrysanthi, in 8 months?
7 months.
In 7 months. Wow.
Yes, and I can say that the results that we are seeing and how much they grow into these 7 months, it's incredible. We have people that they don't they are afraid to talk, they are afraid to touch the keyboard because oh my God, it will explode. And in 7 months, really, you can see them talking to a client and closing deals and presenting a fancy and whoa, dashboard and project, and you can see them um, understanding and let's say realizing their power, and that's all it takes. 7 months.
Oh, Chrysanthi, that's very, I mean, inspirational. I even think that maybe it could be interesting for other people to know how kind of like testimonials, from your organization and from the lives, how the lives of these people have been changed by learning to code and to be introduced to artificial intelligence, or to learn about how to deal with clients, how to deal with, with their own communication skills and so on. So I immediately get like, maybe at some point we could do an interview with actually one of those inspirational students that you have had. And but yeah, okay. I actually I'm curious to know the program. I mean, how do you divide like those 7 months, starting with Python? How do you build it little by little to get to data sciences? And when you mention Python, coding with Python, is certain libraries, or how can I imagine that?
All right. Again, to start from the audience, the learners that we are having, because we call them learners and not students. So our learners, they can have variety of backgrounds. They can be PhD whole PhD ah PhD what it is. I forget the English, but they can hold the PhD. They can have no studies at all. They can be 18 years old. They can be 80 years old. It doesn't matter. So we're having a very diverse audience. So this means that our trainings and our curriculum can be very adjustable and flexible. So, in a very, very, the backbone of our curriculum at the moment is, and I say at the moment because as AI is evolving, we are evolving as well. So, we're starting the first month of the training is actually getting into Python, like the very basic of a programming language, how to code in general, what is object-oriented programming, how to write functions, and a little bit general programming understanding. When we have all this settled, then we are jumping into the data science part. So the next 2 months, more or less, uh, and I say more or less again because it depends again from the speed of the learners. If they are very quick, we also the material is moving much faster. So the 2 months in the second and the third month of our training, we are actually diving into Python libraries, as you mentioned, for data science, which is NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn. So we are doing the libraries that they are actually built for doing data pre-process and data visualization. It's very, very important if you want to be a machine learning engineer, a data scientist, an AI developer, whatever you choose to be. Your base is data. You need to know how to read the data, how to understand the data, how to clean the data, how to make sure that you have diversity in your data, how to make sure that you have balanced data, and so on. So it's very, very important, and that's why we are focusing there. And of course, you need also to, because it's also fancy for you to understand better, and for the client eventually to visualize those data, to show them, because not all of us we can understand code, and of course it's impossible. So that's why we need graphs in order to make everyone understand what is happening into our data set. And when we know all this in these 2 months, then we are moving into the fancy part, which is the AI and the machine learning is coming into the play. So the next 2 months of the training is focused on that, where we are encounter problems, let's say, regarding NLP, natural language processing. We are seeing computer vision. We are seeing structured data. So we are seeing all these things, but with a twist. Because me, I have an experience, my colleagues have another experience, and we are trying to be in touch with the market as much as we can in order to be updated, but we never are 100%. We personally, we're not 100% because we are also part of the industry, yeah? But in one part of the industry. So we sat some years back and we thought how we can actually bring this extra value from the market into our trainings. And our partners were very kind to actually make an offer and offer us use cases that they are actually having at the moment in their organizations. And with their help and with our experience, we are sitting together and we design a use case for our classes around the advanced topics, like NLP, computer vision, and so on. And our learners have the ability to actually learn computer vision via a project, and not just a project, but also with a client project.
And very, very applied because it's actually a reality. It's something that is needed in the market and by companies. So I see the point. And personally, I love project-based learning. So it's a way to really learn while doing and investigating. So I see the point. I kind of have difficulties in imagine such a diverse audience. I mean, such a diverse group of learners. Like it must be very modular what you are doing in a way that everyone can more or less follow, right? So I imagine, Chrysanthi, that you don't give lessons or that there is an online platform or something like that so they can follow some modules. Is that right?
And not really.
Not really.
Not really. What we are doing, the pedagogy that we are following in Big Code is active pedagogy, which means that we are not doing lectures and lectures and all these things, but we are actually designing the material as the trainers, and we then share this material with the learners via GitHub. So it's just some notebooks and some exercises, and then we are giving them a little bit of introduction. What is the topic? Why it's useful? Why it's important for you to learn? And then it's their responsibility to actually go through the material, Google, because you cannot be a developer if you do not know how to Google. And we are very lucky that Google is a very large community and with a lot of minds that they contribute in its knowledge. So everything can be found there, as long as you know how to search.
Yeah, I get it, and the part of the language might be a trouble or not really. I mean, are they required to speak English, or is the Dutch community or French community big enough to actually support the learners, or how is it actually?
Yes, we're in a country that the languages are a matter. Huh?
Yes.
So we encourage every learner to speak in English in the classroom. And I will bring an example. The parts of Wallonia, they are not very familiar with the English speakers and English speaking. So we are also trying to work on that via the training and just make them sure that it's okay if you don't speak good English. Just try to communicate. So we encourage those people to talk English. Of course, our learners, depending on the campus that they belong, either Brussels, Liège, Charleroi, Ghent, Antwerp, it depends on the area and the region. To enter the market after the training, unfortunately, it's required to have a level of the language, either Dutch or French. And I can add here that Verrières in the region of Flanders and Brussels Formation and Le Forum, they actually work on it with us and support the learners to enter the market with that skill. So it's very important.
So you also have foreign students, and they don't, yeah, okay. And then they are also trained on the local language and so on, so they can actually enter the market. Oh,
Indeed. And I also want to add something that we, the trainers, we are very diverse. I, I am from Greece.
yes.
And I speak Greek, obviously. I speak English. I am trying to speak French, but I don't speak Dutch. I have a trainer, a colleague that he is from Venezuela. He speaks English, he speaks French, but he doesn't speak Dutch. But I have other learners in Brussels that they speak French, but they don't speak Dutch. And I have colleagues that they speak Dutch, but they don't speak French. So, if required, we are very diverse and we can understand the need of the learner. If the learner, for example, wants to express themselves in a certain language, we can support. And not only support, but we are also sometimes exchange between the trainers and help each other to, to learn new language or new at least phrases in different
Yeah.
languages.
Yeah, that's also my case. I speak Dutch because I live in the Flemish side of Belgium, but I don't I don't speak French, unfortunately. I understand it, but you see, it's a very diverse community actually. Chrysanthi, I have another question. You mentioned data, right? And you mentioned that also kind of like making the samples diverse and so on. And for our Fostering Artificial Intelligence at Schools project, we actually have one intellectual output, one project result that is related to bias, so unconscious bias and algorithmic bias and so on. And their data plays a role. And I wonder how the organization manages that, how deep you go into that, or how general. I mean, how is that topic managed at BCode?
It's a very, very big topic. Huh? Unfortunately, we are having a lot. Our data are a lot. I mean, the bias is very obvious in our data at the moment. Not in our data as Bcode, but in our data as globally.
Yes.
Because we start to gather data like I don't know, 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I mean, the data gathering is very new, very young, let's say, and it's also we need also to consider that the data. Yes, we gather data, but who is gathering data? We people, humans, and we humans sometimes we are having also some some let's say ideas, and those ideas maybe not serve the diversity and the balanced data that we are looking for. What we do in BCode when we design our trainings or when we're designing our exercises and projects and when we are talking with the clients is that we try to find balanced data sets or to create balanced data sets. So there is a way that you can actually create data from what you have already. And this way we can make sure. I'm thinking because it's not actually making sure, it's a work in progress. You can never be sure. You always need to check. We as data scientists, we are always need to check our data. I will not mention what happened with an application some years ago when all these video calls, when Corona came in our lives, when Black people couldn't find the difference between the blurred background, or I cannot also not mention the Twitter bot that became a racist from the comments. But this is exactly where it's coming. The thing that I said before, the bot was trained because of the tweets that it was reading, and the tweets were made by humans. So if we want to correct this bias thing, we need to make sure to correct in quotes, but I think that we all can understand here to make sure that we are as balanced as we can as humans.
The challenge there is, of course, we have data generated in the last 5 years, and the bias, our personal biases are there, right? So,
Exactly.
in any case, any data that we are taking for our current algorithms, it's already biased because our society in general is biased. The good thing is, I mean, I because I'm responsible for that project result. There are solutions, and there are people doing also like unconscious bias courses and so on. And even Google, for example, is creating materials to push that out there and to make sure that we are a bit more conscious, because like it's like 98 or 99% of our decisions are made totally unconscious and totally biased. Like it's a good thing because our mind is so fast that we are basically operating in a very easy mode, but that easy mode means that we are pretty unconscious actually, right? And that goes indeed into our algorithms. So I'm happy that your learners are getting this kind of knowledge, because that will also shape the products that they will be creating, and that's actually the goal. Chrysanthi, I have a new question. How many students do you have at the moment, learners?
Oh, I need to do some maths. Just a moment. So if we're talking for AI, currently active learners, we are having 45.
45. And the goal of these 45 students will be that they actually go to work, right? So there will be potentially 45 new jobs for data scientists or machine learning engineers, or this kind of profiles. And what is what the market is actually asking at the moment, the Belgian one?
Indeed. Right now, again, with Corona, we see a lot of companies, cooperatives, startups. It doesn't matter the nature of the company or the business model that they're running. We have seen that Corona raises a lot of opportunities, more in the NLP part, more to read, how to read documents much easier, how to store, how cloud to use the cloud as a storage and so on. Um, so I would say that right now the market is in more demand for machine learning engineers and for data engineers.
Okay, and what is the difference between the two? I mean, machine learning engineers will specifically using machine learning algorithms or creating them, or both? And for the data scientists, will they be using necessarily machine learning algorithms or any other technique of for data analysis?
Yes, so both they will have the same principles. So both of them, both the roles, they will need to know the basic of data science, how to read data, how to clean the data, how to visualize the data, how to make the data, prepare the data for the modeling, for the models eventually. Then when all this is done, all the preparation is done, we're having two things: where to store the data, where to make sure that they maintains and so on, and how to use the data. So this is the two different roles: how
Yeah.
to store the data and how to make sure that they are well where they are and so on. It's the data engineering part. And what to do with the data is when the machine learning engineers are coming, and the data scientists, of course, where they're actually taking the data, creating the models, and making predictions and so on.
Yeah, okay. And are there tools that you are using that you could maybe share with us? Is there any open source library or tool that you could like highlight for our audience?
Ooh, well, if I want to make sure that our audience, because it's very important for everyone to understand what is AI specifically. I've getting a lot when I say, to my friends and family or someone that I get to know. I'm an AI coach, and I am a senior AI coach. I am into AI from 2011, as I said before. So I'm quite some years now into that. When I say this, they are always saying to me, "Oh, you are in artificial intelligence. Oh, but oh my God, are you not afraid? I mean, they will get our jobs." And I'm like, okay. First of all, you need to understand what is the power of AI, what AI can do. So for that part, a very good tool for people to understand how the AI is working is the teachable machine with Google. This is my tool that I use to to get people into touch with AI. Now, if we are talking for coders and people that they want actually to do machine learning with their hands and smash this keyboard, as I like to say, there's a lot of pre-trained model that they can actually work with. And I would recommend them to search for transfer learning and see those models how they are built, and it's already built, so they don't have to actually learn everything from scratch. So they will just take their data, feed it in the model, in the already trained model, and they will get the output. And by that, they will a little bit understand how it's working.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think that maybe behind the scenes, we can send an email to each other and maybe get the links to some of the tools so people who will be watching our film, our interview, can also learn something, investigate, and go to those websites and tools and learn a little bit from you and what you are sharing, if that's okay with you, Chrysanthi.
Of course,
Yeah.
with pleasure.
Okay, and is we will also add in the links actually the yeah, make publicity for Bcode, and for the modules that you are doing. Is there anything that you would like to share to people who could potentially join Bcode here in Belgium or internationally?
Well, we are here and we're waiting for you.
Do you have actually a digital academy, are you, or it's only people who are here in Belgium really attending the classes and so on? Or do you already have some kind of international module for people from Spain or from other countries?
So currently in Big Code, we're actually focusing only in Belgium. As I mentioned before, we're having the support of VDAB, Brussels Formation, and Le Forum. So we are looking for people who will enter the Belgian market afterwards. And given the fact that our trainings are in a hybrid model, so we are some days of the week on campus, some days online, in order to protect the learners and ourselves, of course, we require the learners to be based in Belgium. But our school, Bicode, is actually powered by Simplon. Simplon is a company in France in which they actually creating and open new schools around the world. So there is similar schools in Jordan, in Spain, in France, of course, in Bulgaria, if I'm not mistaken, in Belgium. So there are similar schools around.
So it's kind of like a certification from France, like a kind of official school in France, but with the students in Belgium, if I
Not really. They are actually they are opening in new schools, but Simplon is giving their expertise on the field.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So more the platform and that knowledge of how to have an open school and the framework. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Chrysanthi, thank you very much. And I wonder if you want to share anything else with us. And by the way, we sent you the invitation to participate in Braga in our event, our training there, and we are very excited to have you there. And so, very, very happy.
Yes, me too. I'm very interesting to exchange and hear new ideas. This is how we're becoming better by listening. It's important to listen.
Yes, indeed.
If I want to say something to all of us, not only to potential learners, but maybe to me, to you, to everyone out there, is don't be afraid to fail. It's fine.
Wow, that has a name, growth mindset. And yeah, it's the key for learning, Chrysanthi. If we are not
Exactly.
afraid to fail, we will just keep on trying. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Thank you very much, Chrysanthi. And I wish to see you in person in Braga and also in Belgium at some point.
Yes. Eventually. Bye.
Eventually. Bye. Thank you very much.